When we talk about diversity, we're going to talk about our two countries for a minute. This is from Stats Canada. This shows us, across all business in Canada, the amount of women that are in senior roles. It's under 40%. Now, that's every industry. It's not just the green profession, so let's not beat ourselves up. 2022 was the first time in North American history of business where there was more women as CEOs than men named John. We beat out a name. Woohoo! Who's named John in this room? There we go, thank you. On the flip side of it, when I look at the American stats, when we look at our entire profession, we're talking less than 7% identify as women. 7%. Why is that terrifying? Because it is. That is worrisome because there is a lot of money on the table that we are not touching. A diverse team, a diverse leadership, such as we met this morning when we went to Atticus, is able to create an extra 27% more revenue year over year by having a diverse team. That does not mean only at this top. That means at every single layer of business. When we talk about having that, that means we talk about different communities that we're able to reach into to draw sales from and innovation from. Innovation is really cool because we went to an amazing nursery this afternoon that was doing innovative stuff. There's innovative stuff that happens, and the only way we can do that is by having different types of brains in the space. The way we do that is by encouraging diversity in our team. All the way from the bottom, all the way up to the top. We do have to talk about some barriers, though. There are barriers to that. There are unique challenges. I was speaking with an instructor this week, and he tells me, Carla, my class is about 50-50. Like, that is phenomenal, right? 50-50. Until 5 years later, when it's 95-5. Why are we losing women between the ages of 25 and 32? If they need to go take time for their family, that's okay. Why can't we get them back? Everyone still has their laptop going or their phones going, right? What's the barrier? Now, I'm not asking about the example I just gave you. I'm asking, look at your company, look at your circle, look at your children, your daughters, your sisters, your wives. Look at maybe the people of color that you work with, not the women that you work with. What is their barrier? Oh, inflexibility, yes. Ooh, outspokenness. Okay. There was a runner in the 1950s, British. He was the first person to run a sub 4-minute mile. First person in record. Nobody had done it before, this British runner did. The following year, 24 people did it. The following year, a couple hundred people did it. They didn't see the path. They didn't know it was doable. There was no showing, therefore. If we don't show path, and we build paths in our industry, right? Like physically with interlock, brick, and stone. We build paths, and we are incapable of showing path. Who thought Atticus this morning was pretty awesome? Every single person in that building knew what the expectation was. I spoke with Maggie, who was our tour guide, and Maggie let me know that there is a 2-week orientation before you're allowed to get your laptop from Atticus. You got to talk to every department, every director, to know how they work together. Everybody is paddling the same way. We got a lot of problems. Holy, I stopped looking. I probably shouldn't have. Insubordination. Ooh. I might disagree. Don't you want your staff to ask you questions? Don't you want your staff to offer solutions? Aren't we one of those collaborative industries? We work with subtrades all the time to get work done. Badly fitting work gear. Oh. You know, when you get charged an extra $75 by your employer because they had to get in a double XL, extra small. Obviously not for me, but all of a sudden you're into specialty sizes. And you have to go to unique companies that charge more. And instead of your employer saying, please let me keep you in this industry, I'm gonna ask you to pay more money off of your pay so that you can work here safely. It happens still to this day. Lack of representation, yes, 100% lack of representation. I look around this room and I'm really excited. This is a great room to be in. And then I'm gonna go home to Ontario and I'm gonna sit in a room where I'm one of 3 women in a group of 25. And then it's gonna shrink at the next meeting and shrink. I am not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I want us to recognize where our challenges are, why people are leaving this industry. And when I say people, I don't just mean women, I do mean people of color. I do mean our guest labor. That's probably the best phrase I have heard today. Why are they not staying with us? So if you don't know me, we're about to get to know me, okay? I was born in a very small little village in the East Midlands. I was born there because my parents had moved there from Newcastle. And if anybody, Phil, knows anything about 1980s in England, we moved to Canada, okay? Because we moved to Canada, my mom moved 2 children under the age of 6, 3,500 miles away from her entire village, literally. There was about 1,500 of us in that village. So that woman instilled in me community, and you have to build it. It is not just there because you want it to be there. You have to put in the time. You have to meet the people. You have to do it because no one is going to do it for you. And then I started my career. And then I changed my career, restarted a career, and then eventually figured out landscaping existed. It was kind of cool. So then I had to rebuild a village. And I got to meet people. And every time I get to come to an event like this, I get to talk to somebody new. I get to find things out about Alec. He's a really interesting guy to talk to. I get to meet people like Anthony, right? And now my village grows. All of us are a part of an association. All of us are a part of a village or a community that allows us to talk to one of another, right? So my journey through this entire industry has truly been about community and truly been about making sure that I can hold somebody up. I can bring them, kicking or screaming, to where they should be at the end of it. And that's because my mother's a ridiculously strong lady. There's a coach that I have on one of these pictures that would always tell me stories. And when I decided to launch my company, I called her and I cried for 2 days. If you know me, you know that I'm a crier. But I cried for 2 days. And she said, cool, now do it. You gave me every reason why it's not going to work. Do it. Fix those problems. List out those barriers and figure it out. And that really was my story when it comes to my journey in leadership. Cool, now do it. So I ask you, you don't have to scan anything. Talk to the person to your left. Talk to the person to your right. I want you to tell me what that pivotal moment in that person's leadership journey was. Now, there is a lot of us. So I'm looking at the clock. I'm going to give us 2 minutes, and then I'm going to arbitrarily pick a table and ask. I want to know what that person's leadership point was. So if we don't know Phil, Phil is going to tell us a story from this table, not his own, about the leadership point.
Okay, so we tried to find a timeline of when that may have happened, and it went back to probably school or close to school time, and being thrust into an environment where other people depended on you or relied on you, and consequently that level of leadership was because of the need of other people to feel confident in your ability. I think that would be a good way of describing it.
That's wonderful. So, to Cole's noted, somebody else saw your ability and reminded you that you were capable of it. It's a pretty cool concept. Are we all lucky enough to have somebody in our life like that reminds us of our capabilities, tells us to not play small? Would we call them a mentor? Sponsor? Anyone use that fancy word yet? No, we're going to talk about sponsors, don't worry. Anita?
Yeah, so the president of the North Carolina Landscape Association and the newly minted president of the CNLA together. We both similar story back to our school college days. That's where our voices started to get heard and felt that comfort to become more of a leader. Yeah.
Wonderful. It's one of those things that aren't taught. Leadership, community, networking. Networking? Anybody get taught how to network in school? Students, do you guys get taught how to network? No. We don't need to focus on a super important thing like that, do we? Why is it super important? Because we need to learn. We need to learn. Networking, the ability to stand in front of people you don't know and find a connection with them, is a hard skill. I am not the best of it. Shock. I'm okay, but I wouldn't say I'm the best of it. But building that network, building those communities, building those connections allows us to retain people who is in this industry because they have a friend in this industry. Who is able to go out and have dinner with people this week and have a connection very quickly without alcohol involved. Maybe with alcohol involved, right? What we show, and studies are really good at this, is women that are in executive positions outperform their peers. And they do that through the power of community and the power of networking. Did you know that? You know, the women in your world are the #1 buyers. How much influence does a buyer have? Right? So, the more profitability that our companies have, the more innovation that we are creating, going into, quite frankly, some more uncertain times. Those are the companies that are going to win. And I'm picking on companies right now because of this. If you don't see a positive end result, when I come over here and say, hey, let's build a Women in Landscaping Association, you're not going to support me. Because I need your company to make money to be able to support. Is that okay? Mark, is that okay? More money is okay? Okay, thank you, sir. So how do we do that? We build a network. We make sure that it's diverse. We don't support just the individual growth that allows us to support the industry growth. And who is a really busy person? Okay, come on, guys. I've seen all of you on your phone at all of these tours today. 2 hands up. Somebody's busy in this room? John, I know you're busy. I saw you on the phone all day at the Arboretum. Who doesn't want to be the mentor for their entire company because they need to run their company? Who would like to offboard mentorship somewhere else? Don't look at me like that. You're different. We are building our companies, right? There could be an association that you go to where you don't go to your boss and you ask questions? Does anybody go to an association to ask questions instead of going to their boss? No, you all invent the wheel every single time? You don't read the Landscape Trade magazine because you know all the answers? No, we look at our network. We look at our network. It is awesome. Networks are great. And as leaders, you don't have to create everything because somebody in your network has. Right? Efficiencies. What does efficiencies give us? More time to make more money. It's really cool. Now, everyone took a pen from the nursery today, right? I know Jeff did. We chatted. I double-checked. Actually, no, let's not do that just yet. Let's go somewhere else first. This was a hot button question. I asked a couple people about this. What does the ideal look like? The ideal association for an underrepresented group. The ideal association for an underrepresented group. Is that women? Maybe. Is that people of color? Maybe. Is it newcomers? Maybe. Is it a table of students at the back of the room? Maybe. So I gave you more space this time. You got 200 characters. You guys tell me, what does the ideal look like? We have leaders of our associations in this room. You must have an idea of a good association. Welcoming, warm, and engaging. Nice. Oh, look at that. Great leadership, equal opportunity, all and any are capable. Open to everybody. Wow. Inclusiveness, that's a fun one. Open to all opinions. I've heard a lot of opinions this week. I didn't have to go to those meetings, and I heard a lot of opinions this week. Learning from people who have walked the walk and now can talk the talk. That's pretty awesome. Learning from people. I have a very wonderful friend. She gave up her maternity leave. She got offered a beautiful job at a great company, but she had to leave her maternity leave. So she got 4 months at home, not 18 months at home, because we're Canadian and we're lucky that way. Her child is now 6, and it is the biggest regret of her life. And the crappy thing for her was she was not able to talk to anybody at that business who had the same opportunity, because there was no path in front of her. She was the first one doing it. She didn't have a network to ask, and there was a regret there. Imagine just being able to ask one question to a group of people that have gone through something that may be similar to you. A place, feel welcome, respected, and valued, a place to learn, and a place to contribute. That sounds like a phenomenal association. That sounds why we all joined our states and provincial and our national associations, right? So now we have our thing. Our ideal is a place to feel welcome, respected and valued, a place to learn, and a place to contribute. We have our thing. You ready? Build it. On all of your tables, except for you folks that belong at the back, there's a piece of paper. It's going to say, tell me about the mission statement of this association for underrepresented peoples. Tell me about the events. Tell me about the opportunities. Tell me about the marketing of this association. Tell me. It is 2:43. I'm giving you 90 seconds to tell me. Tell me. Imagine an engaging, embracing, empowering association that helps build communities and networks. Okay, that sounds like a mission statement. But how do we do it? You guys are looking at me. Look at each other. I know the answers. I want to know what you think. Come on. At the top of all of those sheets, it says, hey, give it back to Lauren. If you don't know Lauren, this is Lauren. Give it to Carla. I'm going to take these sheets home. My team and I are going to actually build out the framework, the path to what this looks like based off of having the smartest people in the room that I could possibly talk to. Because y'all are busy, and you shouldn't be having to initialize this. But we have some great ideas. I think Lauren's running around with a microphone. I've got no idea what she's doing at this point. There we go. Who has a mission statement? Does anybody have something about the mission? One of you does. How about objectives? What are the objectives? Who has objectives written on their sheets? We don't need the full sheet. Just give us 1 point off of your sheets. Tell us what you were looking at.
We were looking at that women are supported in their business through education, learning, coaching, and mentoring to increase their confidence and their business acumen.
Fantastic. I'll take that. Okay. Students.
We came up with building trust within your company or industry.
Building trust. That's a tricky one, right? Randy this morning talked about trust is just given until you choose to take it away from yourself. Trust is given. You sign an employment agreement with that company, trust is given to you until you take it away from yourself. I like it. I like it. Somebody has events, right? Somebody has events.
I'm not big, but I was just invited.
Tell it to the mic.
It's
Thank
a
you.
Facebook group, and it's women in the green industry. They meet up. I don't know if it's once a month, and it's at a bar or restaurant, and you just meet up, talk, learn from each other, find a new mentor.
Yeah, that's a really straightforward event. Who has ever gone to a bar or a restaurant? Okay, who's done that several times this week and therefore they can't raise their hand? Right? We've all done that. But the whole purpose is to really talk to our community and ask those questions from our peers that we don't work beside. Because we're the only women in the truck. We're the only immigrant in the truck. It's different. So if we're able to go to a bar and have a drink, if we're able to go to an event and have lunch and have a fantastic speaker, right? I'm available for parties, right? That's cool. Who did I miss? We talked about events. We talked about marketing? Oh, David. There you go, sir.
We were focusing on the marketing of the ideal marketing for Women in Landscaping Association, and we thought that investing into sort of grassroots campaigns to promote and attract future generations by highlighting viable career paths for women into the horts sector. And that comes with leadership of those who sort of walked the talk, really taking ownership of that and sort of being the example for those that will come next.
Thank you. It's amazing. Walk the walk. Do it, right? Own your experience and share it with people. When people get to hear that they are not alone, people get to explore more, right? Because somebody's done it and they did it safely and they lived through it. They figured it out. So don't throw out those pieces of paper. Lauren and I are going to come around. I'm looking at the clock, Lauren, I got you. We're going to get those pieces of paper. My company, my team is going to help build this. Okay? What we talk about today, where we are 5 to 7%, we talk about where we want to go, right? Those that don't know their history are doomed to repeat their history, I think is the saying. So what do? We have to move forward. We have to use what we talk about today when we talk about mentorship, community, partnership, when we talk about removing those barriers that you guys were so good at listing and telling me where your problems are and telling me that you acknowledge that that exists as a barrier. Where do we go? We talk about in Ontario being horrendously short-staffed. With no diversity on our team, I am understaffed. That's a ridiculous sentence. No diversity, and I am short-staffed. So where do we go? We talk about innovative teams handling recessions in uncertain times. We talk about diverse teams creating a new 15 to 20% revenue year over year. We talk about all of the cool things that people are doing while they are remembering their past, having multi-layered ponds and the coolest technology for potted trees and plants, right? So where do we go? Home. We go home. At some point, we're gonna get on a plane, a train, an automobile, and we're gonna go home. So my last question out loud, what are you taking with you? We talked about all of those amazing leadership things. We talked about all of those barriers that you obviously have seen or you have lived through or you have built. So I ask you, what are you taking home? Fill it out on the Menti. We're gonna vote. Like it. Networking is important. Leadership is a skill. Just do it. Nike, all the good, the bad, the ugly about Nike, just do it is sometimes worth the full sentence. I'm not sure if we can scroll. There we go. Be a place where everyone feels welcome, respected, and valued, where everyone can contribute. Folks, my name is Carla, if you missed it. I am going to be sat over here. That is a different QR code. That QR code is going to take you to my calendar if you want to keep talking, if you want to keep being with me in my community. I'm there. If you don't want my calendar, that's okay. My cell phone number is right underneath it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate all the hard work you guys did today. I'm going to be taking that home, and we will be doing something with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Carla. A great message.